What's going on, people? Today we're going to be taking a look at attacking, and I'm going to try and give you some pointers on how to work with your team to help capture objectives in Insurgency Sandstorm. All of the footage in the video will be clips of myself attacking on the push game mode, but the techniques are transferable to other modes such as frontline and firefight. But with that being said, let's get right into it. The premise of attacking is to get as many of your team onto the capture point as you can to overwhelm the enemy's numbers until the objective is fully capped. However, you must then kill any remaining targets that are on the point. You can recognise this by the capture indicator. It will give you different prompts as to what's going on, whether you are capping or losing, whether there's a stalemate or whether the cap is being blocked. Once the targets are eliminated, the point will be taken. Now, in the clip playing in the background, my team was struggling to take the D point, having already used both helicopter supports earlier in the match. The D point on this map is what I like to call a bastard point. In other words, it's tough to take. There's a lot of corners and doorways to check and contain. Now, I know I said you need as many bodies on the objective as possible. However, someone has to deal with the respawn waves, because they'll just keep coming. So in this situation, I decided to push up beyond the objective and let my team deal with that, while I tried to hold off as many targets as I could. This allowed my team the time to capture without very much resistance in the way. 9 friendlies should be able to deal with the 2 or 3 out of the 10 that got through my initial line. In some ways, I became a defender on the attacking side, because I was trying to defend my team's capture to keep the game moving forward. I position myself in a spot where I know the enemies are going to come from, which obviously comes from game sense, having played it since launch. But I also required the ability to drop the targets approaching me. In this instance, I was able to do that, and we managed to get the capture. One thing to note is when you are trying to do this technique, you should try and reposition yourself after killing a few enemies, because they are going to come back and look for you, and you can just shoot them in the back when they're looking in the wrong spot. You'll see me check my map here, and I'm doing that for intel. I want to know how many players my team has on the objective, and that gives me an idea of my next play. Luckily I took out quite a few people and we basically had a full team on Delta, managed to get the capture off. From there I will try and push up a little bit because there's no map restrictions in place, see if I can pick off a few more so that my team can move up safely. Unfortunately at the very end of the clip I do die, but that's from me being stupid. I didn't see the guy on the right. The next strategy does involve actually getting onto the objective, but you want to kill as many enemies in quick succession as possible. I mentioned it in my last video, but flanks are probably the most useful tactic you can learn in this game. If you can get in behind your opponents, or strike them from an angle where they aren't expecting you, you're going to cause havoc. So while you're getting busy going through the back door, your team are going in direct through the front. Because of your flank, the enemies are sandwiched, and you can clear the objective very quickly. In these clips, you'll see that getting in behind can really help when it comes to attacking a capture point, and if I'm being honest here, you don't have to kill everyone. But taking out just a couple is going to cause enough confusion that the enemies won't know where to look or who to shoot at. Momentum is a huge deal when attacking, so try and get a flank off on your first run at an objective, and with a bit of luck, you'll manage to get in and take it fast, then rinse and repeat. If you're a solo player, this is hands down the best thing you can do for your team when attacking in push. You may have to kill a few stragglers, or players smart enough to defend in front of the objective, but once you've cleared them out, you can go about your business entering the objective from a position you should never have been allowed to get to in the first place. From that point, you can pick off your targets with relative ease, because you're more than likely going to be shooting them in the back. After you've killed a few players, your team should be there to provide backup, and then it's all about keeping the defenders off of the objective. You should deck out your loadout to suit this style of play. Try not taking armour or a carrier, and ditch anything you deem unnecessary. I often don't even take a sidearm. This will make you faster on the field of battle, because you're not weighed down by a load of gear. In the clip you're seeing, I'm using a Vector stacked with attachments, and I'm trusting my gun skill and knowledge of the game to push up onto the objective. SMGs and shotguns are ideal to take, because of their lightweight nature, rate of fire and barrel length. Small enough to play tighter to walls and peek corners more easily. Lastly, let's talk about grenades, flashbangs and smoke grenades. These are invaluable tools that can turn the tide of any match. Defenders like to post up with snipers and mounted light machine guns, and will pick you off one by one over and over again. Put a stop to this by throwing smoke, or using a smoke mounted launcher on the end of your rifle. The resulting smoke screen will provide you and your teammates with cover to move up towards the objective. However, you must bear in mind that just because the enemies can't see you, doesn't mean they can't kill you. Move quickly through the smoke and find solid cover that will protect you until another smoke screen can be made. Using a gas mask to move through the smoke will stop your character from coughing, which is a clear cue to the opponents to spray into the smoke. When using smoke, try to always throw or shoot your smoke at the enemy to disrupt their vision and not your own. There's nothing worse than when a teammate smokes out an objective thinking they're helping, but actually nobody can see a damn thing. Use smoke strategically to move more safely through the map on the way to the objective. Don't use it on the objective. There's only one thing that's useful at the capture point, and that's lethal grenades. Use flashbangs to enter buildings, grenades to cause chaos and kill corner campers, and use molotovs or incendiary grenades to block doorways and window ledges. Your grenades will do less team damage than you might think, but still be wary of where you're throwing them and if you have a teammate already pushing the objective. If you are wanting to use a grenade, give your teammate a shout and let him know. The enemies will hear you as well, but you can counter that by pulling the pin and cooking the grenade first. Use L2 on PlayStation to underarm throw, and R2 for an overhand throw. Cook it for a little bit, and then send the enemies a present. Anyway, that's all for today. Hopefully you can put these techniques into practice and learn to master them. And as always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.